The palm oil industry's role in driving the clearance of tropical forests is well documented. Millions of hectares of rainforest have disappeared, wiping out some of the densest concentrations of biodiversity on Earth and releasing the carbon that those forests held into the atmosphere. Accounts from Indonesia, the world's largest palm oil producer, and other countries reveal that the impacts of the industry on communities are often overlooked. Oil palm is responsible for much of the deforestation that affects the indigenous and other rural peoples who live in the vicinity of these plantations. Many of these communities rely on forest resources for their survival, from providing for their basic needs to anchoring their spiritual beliefs. For example, the forests play a central role in ceremonies around harvests, births, and deaths for the Iban people of Malaysian and Indonesian Borneo. Healthy forests provide game and fish, which are important sources of protein and income at local markets. Forest-dwelling communities use timber to make their homes, and various plants provide other valuable resources, from weaving materials to medicines. As a result, the expansion of oil palm on the scale of thousands or tens of thousands of hectares can shake the foundations of these communities, leaving a host of problems behind, even as it may raise incomes for some. Wildlife populations disappear with fewer areas of suitable habitat, or they can come into conflict with small-scale farmers. Elephants in the Indonesian province of Aceh, for example, trample crops. That puts farmers' lives at risk and increases the chances that elephants from threatened populations will be killed in response. Thriving forests also maintain healthy sources of water, minimize erosion, and stabilize the climate. But their loss can drastically change daily life for nearby communities. Without the forest, the surrounding climate becomes hotter, landslides become more common, and once reliable sources of water dry up. Or they're so loaded with pesticides and fertilizers needed for monocropped oil palm and the byproducts of milling that they're no longer safe for cooking, drinking, or bathing. But the arrival of oil palm can change far more than just the physical environs of these communities. Industry backers say the expansion of oil palm plantations helps reduce rural poverty by creating jobs, tax revenues, and other benefits. In Indonesia alone, the industry employs an estimated 5.9 million to 9 million people directly and millions more indirectly. And the introduction of oil palm is credited with boosting incomes in Malaysia and Indonesia, which together make around 80% of the world's palm oil. In many cases, however, the benefits don't always seem to trickle down to communities. The best plantation jobs often go to outsiders who are seen as more qualified, creating problems that extend beyond the lack of employment opportunities for community members. In places like Papua New Guinea, the arrival of outsiders, typically men without their families, has disrupted the social order. Women leaders worry about the influx of drugs and the rise in prostitution that often accompanies these outsiders. And they say they've seen a surge in violence against women. If the forest closest to their homes has been cleared for a plantation, they have to walk farther alone on dangerous roads to tend their gardens, collect food, and gather wood. At home, strife and domestic violence spike when women have less time to prepare meals and care for their children. As part of their pitch to local landowners, plantation companies often promise to build schools, health clinics, and other infrastructure, but communities are often left underwhelmed by the actual investments in education and healthcare. Companies also argue that the taxes they pay will help fund government services, but tax dodging is rife in the Indonesian palm oil sector. While Indonesian law has required plantations to set up oil palm farms for local villagers, in many cases companies have not done so, with the government failing to intervene. In July 2020, a dispute between one company and nearby villagers landed 3 farmers in Indonesian Borneo in prison. The farmers had harvested oil palm fruit from land that the company had planted illegally, according to government officials. The company said the farmers had stolen from its property. The question of consent can also be divisive. In some instances, companies seek permission from individuals who falsely claim to represent their entire communities, or ply local elites with cash, cars, and other sweeteners to acquire access to the land. But without the collective consent of everyone affected, the resulting friction can shatter societal order in communities, as well as fraudulently dispossess people of their lands. Most of these issues aren't limited to oil palm, but are characteristic of the plantation model employed by companies growing sugarcane, soy, and other cash crops. Regardless of the crop, the results for communities are often similar. Human rights advocates and environmental defenders say that without stronger oversight, people living closest to these plantations where forest once stood will continue to pay a heavy price for the palm oil that most of us use every day.